Hi guys, Dan Ward here from Ochiko Bushcraft. I want to talk to you guys today about snaring large game, particularly deer. Now often when people talk about a survival situation and snaring, they think of rabbits and squirrels and other small game. But in a long-term survival situation, or possibly the only large game available is large game. But either way, you could end up needing a lot of meat to get through your situation. So if such a situation occurred, rather than going out and trying to hunt deer all day long and possibly being unsuccessful, which many hunters are, you could easily set, 8 or 10 deer snares along major deer trails and get you some meat to get you through this survival situation. So today what I want to teach you is how to set a deer snare. So right now I am in the Ochiko Mountains and I am on a major deer trail. Just below me, down on the embankment behind me, is a creek. I'm on a trail that runs just above the creek. It's I'll show you here in a second, but it's heavily traveled and the deer were on it last night. They wander off this main trail down to the creek to drink water and then wander back up the hill which is behind me over here. So I want to show you for a second this little trail here. As I walk along, I found some fresh deer tracks from this morning here. So they have been traveling this as soon as last night here, right here. There's a couple more deer tracks here and deer tracks here. So yeah, they've been traveling this regularly. So that's what you want to look for. You would want to find a well-traveled deer trail. And if you find fresh tracks on it, so you know that they've been using it regularly, that would be the kind of trail that you want to set your snares on. So with that in mind, I'll walk down here to the area that I've chosen. Okay, I'm on the deer trail. It's right here. The deer trail is passing right next to this tree. So what I did is I just took a branch that was laying on the ground and I leaned it up over here. I'm going to use this to help hold my snare open. So as a deer walks down this trail, he's going to walk right into this snare. It's going to tighten up around his neck. He's going to tug and panic and have a fit, but the type of knot that I'm going to show you is a self-tightening knot, and it's going to tighten up really tight around his neck, and he or she, the deer, is going to end up strangling itself. So I got some parachute cord laying here, and I'm going to start out by showing you the way I tie mine off. So I start out and I just make a loop underneath, like so, and then tie that in a knot. Pass it through, pull it tight. Okay, one more time. Turn my angle a little bit for you. So you just take a piece of parachute cord, fold it over, and then take your loop and just make a simple knot. Okay, that's going to be a good tight knot. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger so it's a little easier for you guys to see what I'm doing, because I'm going to be back here at a distance. So I might not make it quite this large normally, but I want to make sure it shows up good on camera. So I've got my loop, wrap it around and through, and pull it tight. Okay, now from here, what I do, and I'll try to show you from a couple different angles, because knots are, at least for me, knots are really hard to learn. I put these two fingers inside the loop, okay? And then I turn my hand over and grab underneath and pull that through, okay? Now what I have here is two loops. And I'm going to take my rope parachute cord in this case, and you want good strong cordage. So I know they got some new parachute cord out that's supposed to have a strength of like 700 and some pounds rather than just 550. But I'm going to take my rope, the other end of my rope, and I'm going to put it through these two loops that I just made. So let me do that one more time for you. Got my loop. Hold this open. Okay. Turn it. Grab. So I'm grabbing underneath here, and I'm pulling these through. That gives me two loops. Then on this end is going to go through these two loops. And what this is going to create, this end will be tied off to the tree, is a self-tightening knot. It's basically a prusik knot. So let me pull it up here and show you on myself how this tightens up. Okay. So when the deer comes in here and he starts jerking, that is a self-tightening knot. Okay, I have let go of the cord, totally relaxed, and yet it is so tight around my wrist right now from just the one little jerk that it's cutting off the circulation in my hand. It's actually pinching the skin. It's not going to loosen up by itself. Any jerking, any tugging, it's going to cinch down. I've just completely, with those last two jerks, completely cut off the circulation in my hand. My hand would be numb here in a short period of time if I didn't loosen this. So you can imagine this being around the deer's neck, and he's jerking backwards and around, and it tightens up, and the wind is gone, the air is gone. You know, you're going to want to check your traps often, but it's going to choke itself out. So, and then it's easy for you yourself to grab the knot and pull it back loose, just like you would a prusik knot. So I'm going to go back over here behind me to this tree, and I'm going to set this up and do my best for you guys to see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to start over and make that knot one more time for you guys. Okay. Come around, pull up my two loops. And pull the other end through. And this is going to be my deer snare, which eventually I'm going to lay over here. And I'm going to kind of rig it up here, and I'm going to tie this end off. First, I'm going to tie this other end off. For now, I'm not going to do anything fancy because I want to get my cord back loose, but if I had this set up for a deer, I'd be tying a really secure, permanent type knot to this tree that could not come loose. But for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to put it up here out of my way so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay. This tree right here has a lot of old man's beard, which is just basically a moss hanging off of it. I'm going to tie a little piece here to this cord real loosely. Tie it off here a little bit. This is just to help open this noose up a little bit. Okay. And if I wanted to, I could tie another one off over here, open this up even more. Part of the key to this, guys, is, you know, getting it at the right height, knowing, you know, if you're in an area that has smaller black-tailed deer, you'd probably want your snare lower down. You know, we have mule deer here in the Ochocos, so I'd probably feel a little more comfortable with this sitting just a hair higher over the trail. Now, deer, to them, this isn't a snare, this isn't a trap. It's just a vine or a branch or something that's hanging across the trail, so it's not going to disturb their path. This trail has lots of fallen limbs, branches, trees. They step over it, put their head under it, they go right through. So imagine that a deer is coming down this trail. He's going to walk right through here. Somewhere on the deer's chest, he's going to catch this bottom cordage. I think, yeah, I've got this one high enough to where their head should be free of it. But like I said, if I wasn't sure, I could take some more of that old man's beard. There's another piece right here, and open this up a little more. I'm going to go ahead and go with what I got just to show you guys. So a deer is walking down this trail. He comes through. He catches this around his chest. Okay? As he walks forward, the snare is going to tighten up, and it's going to tighten up around his neck. And that prusik knot that I showed you guys is going to pull tight. And at first the deer is not really going to pay attention. He's just feels just like a little twig or something across his chest. But all of a sudden, bam, this thing's going to come tight. And when it comes tight, just like if someone threw a rope around your neck, instant panic is going to set in, and that deer is going to start fighting. He's going to jerk forward, he's going to jerk backwards, sideways. But that prusik knot, with every jerk, is going to get tighter and tighter around the neck. And it doesn't matter if the deer backs up and there's slack in the cordage, because that knot, once it's tight, it will stay tight. It's going to cut off the blood flow, it's going to cut off the oxygen, and the deer is essentially going to strangle itself. You're going to want to check your traps often, but in this situation, you know, this would be an ideal way to take large game if you needed the large game for emergency meat, emergency survival. Anyway, guys, Dan Ward here at Hochco Bushcraft. Hope that you enjoyed this tip. Hope that you never have to use it. But if you are ever in a survival situation, I think, you know, people end up in plane wrecks up in the mountains. Things do happen, and people are out a long time. And so if such a situation occurred and you need to get some large game to survive and get some meat, you know, hopefully this tip would help you and work for you guys. Just remember to set up more than just one. You know, find you a good trail, set up several of these. Find some trails coming off the main trail going down to a creek or whatever where they're getting drinks. Set up some more. Come back, check your traps. You might have 2 or 3 deer. Anyway, guys, Dan Ward, Hochco Bushcraft. Thanks for tuning in.